Wolverine Origins had to suck for Deadpool and Logan and Deadpool and Wolverine to even exist.
We're benefiting now.
We are. Years later.
Years later.
So I guess patience is a virtue.
I guess.
Or it just hope you're around long enough to see it. There's people that have died, Adrian, have only seen Deadpool as that shitty version in X-Men Origins.
This is true.
Imagine going to the grave with that.
Wow.
I'd
That's
come back and
thought.
haunt someone. That's why I go.
Come back as Beetlejuice.
I would. That would cause me to come back as Beetlejuice. All right. Welcome to Only Comics. I'm Mike. This is Adrian.
Good morning, man.
What's up, bro?
Another lovely day. Well, not so lovely, but
Feels like an oven out there. Like a wet oven.
Yeah. It's pretty bad right now, but it's all right. Whatever.
Yeah. Hey, I know it's supposed to rain, but I think I'm gonna hop in my pool today.
I'm not gonna hop in mine.
No.
But you know what I'm thankful for? We don't have a mudslide,
That's
earthquake,
true.
volcano, tornado, alligators jumping out of the river. I mean, all the other stuff that happens in all the other parts of the country.
Correct.
So
Correct.
I think we're pretty stable. So I'm good.
I have a general question about that, right? Because we live in an area, like you said, we don't get a lot of that. We get like these hurricanes, like when they're on their last leg, you know, like you ever play video games, they have like 1 HP left. That's the hurricane we normally get. Like it's about to be out.
Right.
Now, if you live somewhere where like it gets hit with a tornado every year, like in the same week, have you ever thought about moving?
Well, I've thought about visiting places, you know, having a house somewhere else also.
Yeah.
But, you know, Northeast is home. I mean, we have the Nor'easter once every 10 years or something like that. But, yes, I've been in places where I'm in the gym and there's a full-fledged tornado. You see trees whipping by the gym window, and people don't care, man. It's like it happens so often they just don't, unless the building is crumbling down around them, it's just another storm. Yeah. So, I've been in those places.
Crazy. But the people that live there, I'm like, wouldn't you just like move, you know, maybe? If like every year you get a tornado on the same day, like, I'm out. I've had enough. But
no. I mean, they people want to be where things are happening, man.
True.
So, I mean, imagine everybody in New York. Like everybody, the whole country is in New York. It wouldn't work.
Yeah. Well, anyways, what is going to work, Adrian, is this show today. Okay, we got a lot of fun. So you know, I do have to tell you something though. A while back on Agree to Disagree, some would say maybe I took a shot at you for wearing Crocs. You know. And I actually have a version of Crocs on today, believe it or not, Adrian. So yeah, I'll show you real quick. Like,
all right.
Technically, they're Crocs, right? I'm a
Okay.
little Batman. They're slides though, so.
But you know what though?
What?
I ain't butthurt.
No, you're not offended,
well,
right?
I'm not offended at all.
Because I think after I said that, you went out and bought more Crocs.
I did. Now
You're
I
like,
have
"Fuck you,
different
I'll show
colors.
you."
I got work Crocs. I got yard Crocs. Hey, it's happening.
Somehow it's my fault.
You're the true definition of Batman.
Yes.
You create the monsters. There you go.
Yes,
So you start talking about Crocs. Now I got to go get more.
All right. Speaking of the monsters, we'll hop right into the comic news and rumors. See that segue, dude? That's
Right?
like,
That was like just perfection.
it's like we were on the same page, dude. And Matt, before we do that, you should subscribe to our channel right now. I'll give you a second. You go ahead. All right, let's go. Deadpool and Wolverine, new trailer. Now, one thing I will say, we're June 30th, 31st, actually July 1st. So we're 25 days away from this movie or so,
Countdown has begun.
Yes. I'm thankful. You said you were thankful. I'm thankful today, too. I'm thankful that they haven't spoiled much of the plot in these trailers. We've seen some cameos.
Sure.
But we've seen a lot of, like, the same footage. We've seen, like, 4 trailers where it's the same footage.
Right.
I'm glad. Because a lot of times what happens with Marvel, you said this before, you see the whole damn movie beginning to end in the trailer.
Exactly.
And then you're in the movie, you know this character's not going to die because you're like, I saw the trailer in this scene. This hasn't even happened yet. I feel like they gave us like a small little piece and they just keep rehashing, which I'm thankful for that.
Right.
That being said, there was a new trailer released this week. There was a rumor we reported here in the past that Sabertooth, is it Tyler Mane, I believe, who played him in the original X-Men movie. There was a rumor that he was going to show up. In one of the early trailers, people thought they saw him in the background. This confirms he's in the movie. We see the return of Sabertooth. We see a fight between Wolverine and Sabertooth. I'm liking this, dude. How'd you feel about seeing Victor Creed Sabertooth show up in the trailer?
They playing him old. I mean, I've never seen Sabertooth like that.
Okay.
But they got his size right.
Yes.
I mean, he's almost like What's that character, that the demon with the horns cut off? He's red with the big fist.
Hellboy.
Hellboy.
Okay.
He's almost Hellboyish,
Yep.
like, with the big stuff on. But it's cool. It's cool to see him.
Yeah. And because he played Sabertooth, I think, for just one movie. He was in the original X-Men movie.
Right.
And in that movie, we didn't really get a Wolverine Sabertooth fight. I was actually flipping through some of that this past week. In the beginning, Wolverine's driving rogue in the camper or whatever. You remember that? And then, Sabertooth pops up. They have like a brief fight where he hits him with like a tree and he's just knocked out. So they didn't really fight.
Well, there's never really a Sabertooth Wolverine fight. It's just a Sabertooth kicking Wolverine's ass, and then he goes off into the sunset kind of deal.
You team Sabertooth over there.
No, I'm not team Sabertooth. It's just that it's comical,
yeah,
which is what it actually is. I mean, you show up every year to like beat somebody's ass just for the fun of it. Come on, dude. That's not a fight.
Dude, I think next week we should do a deep dive into Wolverine and Sabertooth. The two characters, their fights, but anyways, in that movie, and then towards the end, they fight at the Statue of Liberty. Remember that? But that's more, I think Cyclops and Storm kind of helped Wolverine, so we didn't really see a real fight there. And then you had X-Men Origins Wolverine, right? With when Victor Creed's his brother, with the shitty-ass Deadpool with the mouth, all that good stuff. Let me ask you this. In that movie, Liv Schreiber played Victor Creed. In your mind, do you look at that character as Sabertooth in that movie or no?
I do, actually.
You do? Okay.
I liked Liv Schreiber's version of Sabertooth. It was more connected or connecting for me to the character.
Got it. I didn't. I felt like I wanted him to go full Sabertooth. Like, for me, it was like you in the Batman movie, you have Selena Kyle. She's not really Catwoman yet. You know what I mean? She hasn't made that transformation. I feel like in that movie, that was the same thing. He was Victor Creed, but he wasn't a full Sabertooth. So I want to see the big-ass, like you're talking, Hellboy size, the hair everywhere, crazy-ass costume Sabertooth, which it seems like we're going to get this time.
Okay.
So for me, I'm excited because it looks like we're finally going to get a proper Wolverine Sabertooth fight on screen. It's rated R. There's going to be blood.
Right.
Now, you think Sabertooth is just going to whoop his ass?
I do, because that's I mean, unless they change it, I mean, the writers can change whatever they want to.
Sure.
But I think it will, or at the very least, it'll be a draw, right? But that's their relationship. It's like the big brother just beats on the little brother just for fun,
right.
Kind of teaching him something. But like, first of all, I'm teaching you can't beat me at any level. But I think it'll be comical.
I'm surprised in you, Adrian. I'm surprised you're taking that stance. Because now I would say without the adamantium, sure, but I feel like that gives Wolverine the edge. So you don't think Wolverine actually, you know what? I'm gonna save that question for a later segment.
Okay.
All right. And if you've been on our show before, you know what I'm getting at. All right. So Wolverine Sabertooth. Now the trailer again. I'm excited. I think every time I see something about this movie, I'm more excited. And I don't remember being even half excited for a movie in like the past, 5 years. I mean, from Marvel, is there anything you remember being like, dude, I actually can't wait to go see this?
No.
Maybe the Spider-Verse, but now MCU stuff, no. So this is big for them.
Yeah.
So, all right, there you have it. Deadpool, Wolverine. Check out that trailer if you haven't already. Another trailer was the Batman Caped Crusader, this new animated series. This dropped. You see this?
Yep.
This is the one where some of the artwork I'm not too crazy about, which actually watching the trailer, it's really just the Harley Quinn that sticks out to me. I don't mind the Batman. Catwoman kind of had a little shirt cocking going on, but I guess that's okay. And then, Two-Face with I know it's not, it seems like they're going a little more grounded, right? But I do like the fact that it's not an origin story, but it's early enough to where Batman is still viewed as like a vigilante.
Right.
Because I feel like we fast forward into this Batman works with the police so often that we miss out a good chunk of the time where they were also trying to capture him.
Right.
So how'd you feel about this trailer?
I like the fact that it was like a little film noir. They resurrected. I don't know. if you remember the computer, the round computer where they was like flipping through things, it was almost like those old slides, which is kind of like the Pattinson Batman,
right?
How they filmed that. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed that to me it is an origin. However, but I do like the fact that I'm mixed about it.
Okay,
it's like I'm tired of the origin, but I like the fact that they're, like you said, they're showing the vigilante Batman as opposed to the Justice League Batman.
Correct.
Kind of a thing. I don't like the fact that they're changing. Some of the main characters, the Harlequin, even Alfred, dude. It's like, come on. Yeah. I mean, this dude was a mercenary. Now he's like, looked like, he's been eating, McDonald's for the last 30 years. So I'm mixed about it, but I'm still excited. I'm always excited to see, a Batman anything.
Right. Yeah.
So to me, all Batman movies start out with an A. It's up
just because it's Batman.
Just because it's Batman, but it's up to the writers, the producers, or the platform even to keep the A. Sometimes they become a C.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, it all started. Now, I guess I could say you have a Batman bias, Adrian.
I have a production because I want things to be. I'm old school. Yeah. I'm Old Testament. I want things to stay true to the character. I mean, I'm flexible on the art, the graphic, even the stories. I'll even tolerate, like I said, the resurrecting the history all over again, but just stay true to the character. Make it make sense. Yeah. Make the science work.
Right.
Don't make Alfred, just out of character.
Yeah.
Right. He's a mercenary. Keep him a mercenary,
Correct.
an old mercenary, but he still used to be a mercenary.
Yeah. Yeah, for my wrestling fans out there, Alfred looks like Paul Heyman. So I'll show you that picture if you don't know who he is, Adrian. But
I don't know who he is.
I'll show you. He looks like Paul. He looks like the Penguin almost,
Yeah.
So anyway, but I like the noir feel. I'm a big noir fan, anyways. Like I feel like that's it's not overdone, so I think that's cool. When they even the Batman, the Battinson film felt very noirish, if that's a word. If not, I just made it up. So, anyways, Caped Crusader trailer drop. Batman's being portrayed as a public enemy #1 again, which I don't think we've seen enough of that. Even in the movies, a lot of times it's like for the first 20 minutes he's a vigilante, and then he's like Gordon's best friend.
Right. I also like the fact that they touched on the fact that all of these villains in Gotham, he probably created them.
Yeah.
He most likely he did create a lot of these guys.
Absolutely.
So.
Yep. No doubt. Next up, the Russo brothers. I can't talk. It's like trying to say Mickey Rourke.
I was like, where are we going?
Yeah, Rourke. Russo brothers, they have expressed interest in directing Avengers 5, something that we suggested about a year ago, right?
They finally subscribed.
Yes, they finally did. Problem is, Marvel, they said no. They said no. So they're looking for other directors. I don't know if it's a budget thing, what the hell, but allegedly Russos are interested. Marvels aren't interested in the Russos directing Avengers 5. I think that's a bad choice.
Right.
Just based off their recent track record.
To me, it sounds like they're more interested in volume instead of quality.
Yeah.
Because they know the Russo. I mean, it'll be a high ticket item.
Yeah.
To bring them on board. But the quality would be there. It just sounds like they just want to put out stuff. Right. Which is disappointing.
Yes. But this was like one bit of a bunch of other Marvel news that they released. They're also, Hall H at San Diego's Comic-Con is like the big stage where they release Marvel has released big news for years.
Okay.
They weren't there last year. I think maybe even the year before they opted out as well because they haven't been putting out much content.
Sure.
They announced they're returning to Hall H next month, and a big focus is going to be the movie. So we're going to have a ton of new announcements or whatnot. But what's preceded this is some other news. Daredevil Born Again. It was a while for a while back. This show was in the news like every week. Haven't seen a whole lot about it recently. But there has been some rumors about some of the other Defenders showing back up. And those rumors have resurfaced. So supposedly Luke Cage and Iron Fist will be recast if they return before Avengers. That's crazy. No, I'm sorry. Rewind that. We'll cut that out. Luke Cage and Iron Fist are expected to return in Daredevil Born Again and also in Secret Wars. The rumor is that Cage will have a more prominent role than Iron Fist, which I guess that's good because a lot of people didn't like the Iron Fist show. Right. I didn't see it. I'm just going to opt out of that one.
Yeah, that's probably good.
Yeah, probably good. And so they're going to show up there. They're going to show up in Daredevil Born Again, which I think is a good thing. I like the Luke Cage character. Yeah. And I forget the guy's name who plays him. I think he does a fucking amazing job.
Yeah.
And then you're going to not love this one, Adrian. Moon Knight Season 2 has been confirmed, and they're shifting the action to New York, building up for the Midnight Suns movie. So a lot of stuff that's kind of been in the works that, they've been on the radar or not been on the radar lately.
Well, I'm not going to say I don't like it because I couldn't get through, the first hour of the first show. Yeah. It's like, because it's unfair. It's like rating a show that I've never seen before. Okay. So, I mean, I've always liked the Moon Knight character. Yeah. To me, he's the Marvel version of Batman. Yeah. It's just that to me they didn't do a good enough job, and I'm saying this from my biased purview. Okay. They didn't do a good enough job to capture my attention. Oh, that's real selfish. Yeah. But they didn't. So whatever.
Well, I will say that's a show that does have a slow build, which sometimes is hard to get through. Like because you probably didn't even get to the point where you saw actual Moon Knight, right?
I saw clips of it because I was trying to find something to motivate me to sit down and watch this stuff. So, I saw like an alley scene where there was some invisible demon. It was like, knocking him up against a car. And then he had like this gentleman suit version of the Moon Knight costume. Yep. So I did see that. Okay. It still wasn't enough.
Damn. All right. Well, hey, there's a whole nother season coming for you, so get ready.
A whole nother season of that. Okay, sure.
I actually enjoyed it. I liked it. See that we didn't agree there, and I'm not upset. You're not upset. Hey. Some of our viewers could probably learn a lot from that behavior. Hey. So, anyways, Shuri, Black Panther 2. Shuri took over the mantle. Right. The rumor is she's going to pass the mantle to T'Challa's son, T'Challa.
Wait a minute. Didn't we just have that conversation?
Yes. Yep.
Because there was 2 points that they made in the movie. The beginning, Chadwick Boseman memorial, and then the Black Panther memorial, and actually in the movie, and then they spent a lot of time on his son. Didn't we just have this conversation where they were going to they probably make another Black Panther in 5 or 6 years or whatever? Yep. The son is old enough to become the Black Panther. Right. We literally just had that conversation. Dude, they're bugging our phones.
They are.
They're watching. The hair is standing up on my arm, dude.
They're watching right now. Just, dude, if you're watching, subscribe already. Shit, exactly. Help us out.
And send us some money.
Seriously, dude, a T-shirt, something, maybe lunch, But here's where I'm confused, okay? So I did a little bit of research, Adrian. At the end of Wakanda Forever, T'Challa's son is 6 years old. Okay? Right. Wakanda Forever takes place in 2024. Marvel has this weird timeline with the blip and all that. They jumped forward or whatever. So the movie was released in 22, but in their timeline takes place in 2024.
So they're 2 years ahead.
Okay. Yep, they're 2 years ahead of us. The kid's 6. Right. How old do you think an individual would need to be the, king of Wakanda and the Black Panther? I'm assuming not 10, right?
There have been kings. Well, I don't know about Wakanda, but if you look at pharaohs and things like that, I mean, if there's no male that's old enough, I mean, the kid is like 3, 4, 5. Yeah. I mean, they could be born kings. Okay. Literally. All right. So I don't think there's an age when it comes to that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I think they would probably put him at 14 or 16, being the Black Panther. Wow. Which is, unless they do some kind of multiverse time warp thing. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, he gets smacked with a time stone or something, and he's like 22 years old. For me, the T'Challa role, and this is like where, again, recasting him would have made more sense. Right. Because Chadwick Boseman, I mean, God, what was he in his late 30s when he played him, possibly, right? So grown man, big dude, got the suit, the whole deal, and we're going to replace him with some 14-year-old scrawny kid who, is playing Fortnite half the week? No. So I just, you should have recasted him. Right. But if, let's say they wait till he's 19 or something, we're talking 15 years here.
Right.
So unless there's some type of time jump, or unless this is going to happen after Secret Wars, but I think it's a bad idea. I really do.
So here's another idea that you know what I say. My idea isn't a good idea until it's somebody else's idea.
Well, they're listening, so it's about to be.
So here's the idea. You know how when you play video games, I got this from Ratchet and Clank, right? When you play video games, you can choose your character, and then you can also select gear that the character is going to wear.
Yes.
Right? Yep. So how about, because we know that there's all these pools of actors and actresses, right? How about if when they come up with a character, even a replacement, when they come up with casting, even replacement casting, they introduce the pool of actors and actresses and say, hey, these people are interested in these roles. And then the public can choose who they think would be a best fit. Because I never even heard of Chadwick Boseman before he became the Black Panther, right? And everybody was raving, loved him, blah, he was perfect, blah, blah. And I'm like, so who is this cat, right?
Yeah.
But then when he plays Black Panther, you're like, oh, and then you look at all his other bodies of work. So there are people out there that know so much about all these actors and actresses. So literally, okay, Avengers, blah, blah, blah is coming out in 2027 or whatever, right?
Yep.
These are the people that we have as a roster. You guys pick. I think they should go to something like that instead of bringing up these people and then half of them don't even. Then we have the Halle Berrys. We have, Winter's Coming chick. You have all these people that aren't even interested in the role.
Correct.
But they're approached and pressured into playing these roles, and you actually see it, Captain Marvel, on the screen. And I think it's a mismatch.
Right. And they do the same thing with the directors. In the beginning, they weren't looking for big name directors.
Right.
They were looking for directors that were going to come into the Marvel sandbox and play with Marvel.
Right.
Then they got big and they wanted directors that would then take the movie and try to make it their own movie. Right. And I think that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
Exactly.
Like, we're not looking for your movie, do we?
Right.
Like, there's something to that. Martin Scorsese gets a lot of shit for saying that, Marvel is like an amusement park. Now, Marvel movies, there's some great movies, but I would partly agree that is what we're looking for here. I'm not looking for Avengers 5 to be, an Interstellar level of movie.
Right.
I don't like Kurt Russell said to the Madam Web chick, like, dude, Marvel movies are not going to be life changing. You're going to show up and you're going to do what Marvel wants you to do. Wait a minute,
Kurt Russell or Russell Crowe?
Russell Crowe, there you go.
I'm like, Kurt Russell, where did he come from? Last time I saw him was in, what is it, when he escaped New York or something?
Yes. No, you're right. Russell Crowe, the other Russell.
Okay.
One of the Russells. One of the Russells. Kurt Russell, Russell Crowe, Russell Simmons. I don't know which one it was. But yeah, so I will remind you all watching, we are not experts.
Yeah, we're not experts.
But, like his point to Dakota Johnson was like, dude, you're playing in their sandbox. Like, this ain't the spot to make your artsy film and, win an Academy Award. Like, play Madam Web and shut the fuck up, essentially.
Right.
So the Russo brothers, I think they get that. They're great directors, but they know how to play in the Marvel sandbox.
Sure.
So, I'm going back to that one, but unfortunately, they don't want him back.
Wow.
Yes. Moving on. So, Shuri, rumored to pass the mantle to T'Challa's son T'Challa.
Bad idea.
Bad idea, definitely. One good piece of news about that, though, they said Black Panther 3 has not yet been confirmed by Marvel. So I'm like, I don't really want a Black Panther 3 with Shuri, to be honest. Exactly. How do you feel about that?
I don't either. And all this going through stuff, they should have just did the right thing, recast. Sure. They recast like every Superman. They recast Spider-Man to the point they even had them all coming on at the same time.
Correct.
So it happens.
Yep.
You don't kill off a character that's been around for 50 years because the actor died. So let's move on.
Do you think they were worried about like fan backlash, maybe?
I don't know, but they get backlash. They getting backlash anyway because it doesn't make sense for Shuri to take over the mantle to then turn it over to some embryo.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense.
And like, why are some characters recasted? Like we talk about Thunderbolt Ross a lot.
Right.
He's not even as big of a character as T'Challa, but he is a pretty prominent featured character in Hulk stories and a lot of the Avengers stuff. He's been in more movies than T'Challa.
Right.
And the guy Sam Wilson died. Not Sam. What's Sam Elliott?
Sam Elliott.
Yeah, from Tombstone. The whole
Right.
He passed, and then instead of killing off the character, they bring in Harrison Ford because he's an old guy about the same age.
Right.
So it's like some they recast, some they don't. I'm curious to why T'Challa they didn't, but the others they did.
Well, and this goes to the point of the fans knowing the actors, actresses. If somebody out there knows, tell us.
Yeah, let us know.
Why did they recast some people and some
Seriously.
people they don't?
Moving on, Robert Pattinson rumored to appear in the Penguin series. So Penguin series drops in September. Continuation of the Batman movie with what's my man's name? Colin Farrell.
Yep.
Plays Penguin. Sophia Falcone's going to be in this. Salvatore Maroni will be featured. So in the first movie, he's in jail. Remember, that was that whole the corrupt government, the Gotham Recharge or whatever hell it was called. But anyways, Falcone basically was the rat, flipped on Maroni. He's in jail. In this show, Maroni's out. This takes place about a week after the Batman, and it's going to show, Oz's rise to power. But the rumor says that Robert Pattinson is rumored to appear as Batman in this series. Because that was kind of the question, like, all right, how are you going to do a Penguin series right after the Batman? Penguin's rise into power, crime family. It's supposed to be like a Sopranos-ass Scarface type story, and Batman's just letting this happen. He ain't going to show up.
Right.
So the rumor is he'll make an appearance. How do you feel about that?
I think it's cool. I think it's appropriate.
Yeah.
I think it's spot on because you don't want to have like a Sony Spider-Man-ish kind of thing happening without Spider-Man. I mean, even if they show Spider-Man's, how they do the silhouette.
Yep.
The black silhouette with the white eyes. Even if they did that in any of the Sony movies, that would make sense.
Right.
Than just to have Kraven the Hunter out there by himself. He didn't exist without the Spider-Man.
Right.
The whole Madam Web thing, the whole Venom thing. I mean, these characters wouldn't exist without Spider-Man. Yeah, you're creating these movies. So to have Batman show up in a Penguin movie, that makes sense because Batman created the Penguin to a great extent.
Yeah. And I think it brings a higher level or at least more eyes on this show. Because we've seen with Marvel sometimes, like they put out a show, it doesn't get the same attention that a movie will. Right. You have Robert Pattinson show up as the Batman. He's only been in one movie. It was a big commercial success. It would really raise the level of importance of a Max show having him in that. I don't think he needs to be featured crazy, but there's 8 episodes. If he's in 1 or 2, if it builds up and he shows up in the last episode, that would make sense.
Well, why did Iron Man become such a big hit? Why did Captain America be such a hit? Why did who else? Even the Black Panther, because they crossed these characters in the spaces that made sense. So you saw them more often than just in their own individual movies, and they blew up individually.
Correct.
So this makes perfect sense to
Absolutely.
me. So putting Pattinson out there like that as the Batman and all these other features, because you can also have a Catwoman movie, Pattinson, all these crossovers, and it makes perfect sense.
Absolutely. You could have one, like you talk about Kraven the Hunter, a new villain we've never seen on screen. We're going to see him in a movie where there's no Spider-Man.
Right.
If they want to introduce new villains into this Batman universe, you could start it off as a show. You could have a Harvey Dent show, have Batman show up once or twice, and that lead to Harvey Dent showing up in a movie. There's so much stuff they can do.
Right.
But to your point of them showing up, like Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. gets all the credit for being an amazing Iron Man. He was such a integral piece to the whole MCU Infinity Saga. He only had 3 solo movies. And they all were like years before these big Avengers movies. Right. He was in more movies that weren't Iron Man movies.
Exactly.
And he's still known as literally the cornerstone to that story.
Right.
So you don't need to have, a new movie every 2 years. But he just showed up like in Avengers and Civil War and all the Spider-Man movie.
Right.
So, yeah, I hope they do more of this with
Absolutely.
Battinson, as we call him, Adrian. Battinson.
Right.
All right, that is our news and rumor segment. We're going to wrap this up with a little thumbs up, thumbs down, as we always do. All right, number 1, Wolverine versus Sabertooth in Deadpool and Wolverine's been confirmed. We got a little teaser in the trailer. I'm giving that a thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
My man Tyler Mane is back. Batman Caped Crusader trailer dropped, and Batman is public enemy number 1 again. I'm liking this. I'm giving this a thumbs up.
I agree. Thumbs up.
The Russo brothers expressed interest in directing Avengers 5, and Marvel turned them down. Thumbs down.
I agree. Thumbs down.
Yeah, rejected, dude. That's like, you know, like back in like elementary school. If you ever did this in your day, you take the little card and you're like, "Do you like me? Yes, no."
Right.
And they send in, they check no, and you're like, "Oh, fuck you," you know.
Right.
But that's what you're thinking.
Well, it's even worse when they, you know, you have the checkbox yes, then on the side no. They rip it in half and just
do the no.
Do the black marker across the no and just give you the no part. Yeah,
that's what Marvel just did.
Scarring.
That's what Marvel just did to the Russo brothers, you know. Unfortunately, last piece. Not last. Shuri rumored to pass the mantle to T'Challa's son. T'Challa. I'm giving that a thumbs down.
Yeah, just thumbs down.
Yeah, you got me. I can't even speak. I'm so pissed off. Right. You know, I'm shit. All right, last one. Robert Pattinson, my man Battinson, rumored to show up in the Penguin series on Max. I'm giving this 2 thumbs up.
So, Bedward. Yes. Bedward. So, thumbs up.
Okay.
Right. Dude, I'm still holding on to it, baby. He's still Edward to me. So
how many more Batman appearances will it need to be more than he had as Edward? Is like, cause he was in what 3 or 4 movies,
something like that.
All right. Yeah. How many more? No.
I think if he does as well as a job in the next one,
yep.
I'll
okay. So he's only got 1 more.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll hold him to the same standards like as if he played multiple characters.
Got it.
2.
Okay.
So come out with another one as good as the one the first one. Well, I'll probably still reference it, but I won't give him this much shit.
Will you? What will it take for you to call him Battinson?
That's like I sweat. So I'm not there yet. It's evolving.
Okay, you have to see how this whole trilogy turns out. Okay, gotcha. So Twilight movies. It's funny. And this is a good segue. God Mode had a question this week, and this is actually a perfect segue.
Sure.
He's talking about he top 5 non-comic book movies, but they still have a superhero feel to them. So I'm thinking what he means is like fantasy movies.
Oh, okay.
Is that before I even say that, the Twilight series, what genre would you throw that under? The fantasy?
Well, vampires, werewolves are typically on the horror.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say fantasy with that.
And fantasy can kind of be like, you know, there's a lot of super powered people in fantasy.
Sure.
But they don't necessarily come from comic books.
Right.
Okay. So God Mode's back. He says a couple of things. Bad Boy Ride or Die is very good. He's seen it 3 times. He says if you like Bad Boys 2, you would like the new one for sure. Bad Boys 2 is okay.
Yeah.
I really like the first Bad Boys. That one's a classic.
Well, that's only because that was for me. I'm not speaking for you because I mean there's certain things that when movies come out, it's like that's the first of its kind. Mm-hmm. It's like everybody's iconic Christopher Reeve as Superman because back then he kind of like kicked off that thing.
Yes.
So the first Bad Boy, like the first Independence Day, I've never seen it before.
Right.
The second one, shit.
Yeah.
So it's like. Those kind of things where they kick them off and they're the first of their kind. So yeah, it's iconic. So it's kind of hard to top that because it's more than just what happens in the movie. It's it pulled out something in you, and you relate to it. So, but he's saying he saw it 3 times already.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, God Mode. You know what? I trust God Mode here.
Yeah.
Right? God Mode's been a great commenter over the past.
It's at least worth 1 watch.
Yeah. It is. I think I'm sold, Gamo. I think I will check it out when it hits streaming. I'm not in no rush to go see it in the theater. Well, I mean, dude, listen. I just saw Inside Out 2 a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to see Deadpool and Wolverine in a month. I don't want anything to screw that up, to be honest.
Dude, you got to pay off that mortgage first before you go to the theater
For
again.
real. No, I bought that bargain popcorn bucket, dude. I'm just gonna fill that up. I'm good. But Bad Boys 2, I actually did like Bad Boys 2.
Yeah.
Until the end. I feel like the Bad Boy. Now there's a lot less, but they remind me of the Fast and Furious movies a little bit. First one, classic, more grounded, some pretty cool action, and then 2 and 3 just. They had to up it is the Michael Bay, and they're just blowing everything up.
Right.
So, anyways, then he said one storyline I forgot to mention was World War Hulk. He'd like to see that. Okay, I agree with that. But here's his list: top 5 non-comic book movies, and then he went on to say that they also had superhero. So I would say fantasy.
Okay.
Here's his list: The Matrix, Jumper, Hancock, Brightburn, and Chronicle. So a couple of these I've never even seen. Then honorable mentions Push and Mask of Zorro. So top 5 non-comic book fantasy movies. Well, you would agree with The Matrix, I'm assuming.
Yeah, The Matrix. The only one I didn't see is Chronicle.
Okay.
I saw Jumper, which I thought was very good.
Really?
Yeah. This kid found out he can teleport.
Okay.
So that was pretty cool. And what was the other one?
Brightburn.
Brightburn, I saw. That was like
is it the one with Will Smith or no?
No, Brightburn is the one where there's this kid that was, I think, adopted by this family.
Yeah.
And he's like Superman. Okay. But he's a 13-year-old, and he's Lex Luthor in the head.
Okay. And I've not seen it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and he like just he's killing people. Yeah. He goes up at the end and just gets in the path of a airliner. And at the end, you see him, the whole area is surrounded by this airplane debris. Yeah. And he's like a lost child that, the house got hit by the airplane. Okay. So he's like the surviving child, and everybody's protecting him and all. This is an evil dude.
Really?
Yeah. So you got to watch it, dude.
Got it. So this is top 5 non-comic book movies. I guess. What are some you would say? The Matrix, I'm assuming. Yeah,
The Matrix. I agree with Brightburn. Okay. Jumper. Didn't see Chronicle. What was the 5th one?
That was the 5th one, Chronicle. Okay. Yeah. Then he had some honorable mentions: Push, Mask of Zorro.
Never saw those two.
No, me either. I mean, what's some? I don't know if this would count, but I'm a big fan of Beetlejuice. He's got powers. The old school Beetlejuice, Michael Keaton. I would throw that in my list. That's not a comic book.
It's not a comic book.
Would Ninja Turtles count?
No.
They became comic books, right? Or no, they were comics before.
They were comics before.
That's right. Man, it's a tough
list. It's a tough list. We can probably get back to that.
You know what, Gamo? We're going to have to get back to you, dude. Yeah. Yeah. Well, don't call us. We'll call you. No. But no, I appreciate the comments. And I do like this list. I mean, I did like Hancock up until the end.
Hancock was the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it did get ridiculous toward the end.
Yeah. But it was so different.
It was different. Yeah. It was different. So the non-superhero movie kind of a deal. I go with that too.
I'd agree with that. Now, I'm not crazy about The Matrix, so I can't even.
Yeah. Toward the end, it's like when I'm in the movie, right? I think it was the 3rd one, and Trinity was dying or whatever, and it got so drawn out. I screamed out in the theater, "Can you just fucking die?" It was just weird, dude. It just became so nonsensical toward the end. And then they have one now that, Christopher Reeve, whatever. He's like all bearded up and stuff. It's like a surreal kind of Matrix. I didn't even watch it. I mean, I saw the previews of it, but it's like I can't even do it, dude.
Now, would you put the Twilight movies in this category of non-comic book kind of super? No.
It's fantastic fantasy kind of, but the Twilight is not even. It's a, like I said, those beings, vampires, werewolves, they're typically associated with horror movies, but Twilight isn't a horror movie.
Right.
So I would put it along. Same thing as like Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Any of that mystical kind of stuff. The Elven Earth, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'd throw Star Wars in there. Nah. It's not a comic book. No?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
You throw it in that arena, but not in the same genre as
not
Twilight and all that kind of stuff. Okay, yep.
So I think my picks, I would add in some Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back.
Why? Because of Darth Vader and
the Force, dude.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And they're not comic books. I mean, I know they're science fiction, but I think if Brightburn and The Matrix is in there, I think I would throw some Star Wars titles in there. I would throw Empire Strikes Back as.
I mean, Firestarter, if you really want to. Go that route. She had powers. Right?
Yep. There you go. Hollow Man, remember that?
That was tech. That's tech though. That's not. It's kind of not the same thing because Hollow Man. The second one was a suit. The first one was some serum.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's more science fiction ish.
I don't know if you've ever seen this. Jack Frost when he's a killer. You ever seen that? I don't know what made me think of that.
Jack Frost.
It's a snowman that kills people. Old 90s horror.
I think I've seen like the posters, but I never saw trailers or the show.
It's funny is there's another Jack Frost, which I think is Michael Keaton, where the dad dies and becomes a snowman.
Yes.
And it came out like the same year.
Yeah,
I was messed up as a kid. I liked the horror one over the Michael Keaton one.
You ever see Krampus?
No, but I know you're talking about. I've not seen it.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Up the same kind of alley, huh?
Yeah, just a weird Santa. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. Adrian said The Matrix. I think we both kind of agree Hancock fits in, even though it gets a little shitty towards the end. And I'm throwing Empire Strikes Back in there. That's one of the best movies ever. I just, I have to. All right. Moving on. Speaking of movies, speaking of Wolverine, speaking of you, Adrian, higher or lower? This is your favorite segment.
You
won last week. You only got one wrong.
Okay.
So you're on a one-win streak right now. Okay?
Sure, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
Let's just destroy that today.
You're going to destroy it today? Are you making a prediction?
Hey, whatever.
All right. So, but the good thing about this, Adrian, whatever happens, it's just fun.
It's just fun.
It's fun with Mike and Adrian.
It's becoming less fun for Adrian, but it's still fun.
Wait, building off last week, though, you never know. I don't keep track of, I probably should. I wonder if you've ever won back-to-back weeks.
I will see this week.
Let's find out. So our baseline this week is X-Men Origins Wolverine. Okay, so we're talking, a lot of X-Men talk, a lot of Deadpool, Wolverine. This was the movie where these two characters met for the first time on screen. And I do have a side. I did some homework last night, Adrian. The road to Deadpool and Wolverine. I got something special to share with you guys later. But anyways, we're going to start with this. X-Men Origins, Wolverine. You don't know this movie's Rotten Tomatoes score?
I do not.
We're going to use this as our baseline, okay?
Let's do it.
So, did X-Men Origins Wolverine score higher or lower than X-Men, the original X-Men movie, on Rotten Tomatoes?
X-Men's Origin Wolverine, higher or lower than the original? Higher.
Higher. Origins was higher or X-Men was?
Origins.
Wrong.
Okay.
Did X-Men Origins Wolverine score higher or lower than Black Panther 2?
Higher.
Ooh. You're really trying to lose this
Sure.
week, huh? All right. Dark Phoenix.
Dark Phoenix higher or lower?
Was X-Men Origins
I would say higher than Dark Phoenix.
Correct. Ding, ding, ding. Was X-Men Origins Wolverine scored higher or lower than The Wolverine, the second Wolverine film?
Lower.
Correct. And last but not least, from my boy Batman in Spring Hill last week, I threw a Batman movie in here, a pretty shitty one. Did X-Men Origins Wolverine score higher or lower than Batman and Robin? This is the Nipples and George Clooney.
Lower.
Wrong. Damn. You know what? your one-win streak is broken.
Hey, whatever.
But, yeah, it's all good. But here's the fun part. We break down these scores because sometimes some of these I agree with. Now, for starters, X-Men Origins Wolverine, 38% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, how do you feel about this movie, X-Men Origins?
I mean, 30 is bad, but
Yeah.
I would say it was a little bit better than that.
A little bit. I would say like
50.
maybe, yes.
Somewhere in
50.
that area.
Because this is a movie, I don't know about for you, I feel like it has some good moments throughout, but overall as a film, it feels kind of messy.
Right.
And it's hard to forgive them for what they did with Deadpool in this movie. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
How did you feel about this movie when it came out?
I went right to the nonsense.
Yeah.
So I just kind of picked it apart. I didn't really enjoy it because I would spend too much time picking it apart. And that's what I hate. A good movie to me is something I don't have to analyze why they did that.
It's hard to enjoy.
Because I mean, when we get into the hidden gem, one of my things is like, why, what are they going to do in a live action that's different than what we are historically used to in these characters? And when I find myself picking things apart, that means they've changed something so dramatically that it's not even, I can't even enjoy myself.
Right.
It's like, you jump in a swimming pool full of jello.
Yeah.
Well, I can't even, enjoy the pool because I'm flouncing around in this bullshit.
Correct. Yeah, no, it was, and for me, being a big Wolverine fan, I wanted to like it. Almost like you said about the Batman, like it comes in at an A.
Yeah.
And by the time we got done, this thing was like a D-. But anyways, Wolverine, 38%. I do think a little low. I'd say about 50. I agree. The first X-Men movie, 82%.
That makes sense because it's again, it's that, wow factor.
Right.
Oh, we've never seen this before kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Even though when you compare it to other movies, it's like, it's a C.
It is, yeah. But no, it wasn't bad at the time. And it was just, again, like to your point, it was when they were first kind of breaking in with these superhero movies. Like we hadn't even had the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man yet.
Right.
Black Panther 2, 83%. That's
Come
high,
on,
yeah.
dude. That's the 30. That's the 30. Wow.
I'd give that movie like a 60. I give it a solid 60. You go 30?
50.
50?
Yeah.
Okay. Dark Phoenix 22.
That's appropriate.
Yeah, might be a little high actually. The Wolverine 71%.
Okay, yeah.
That movie kind of, like a lot of these movies, started out really well. I like the Japan setting, the whole powers thing, and then the end just got too crazy with the giant samurai and all that nonsense. What scene was pretty cool in that was when he was walking to that whatever place where the samurai was, and all these ninjas kept shooting him with the bow and arrows, and he's walking, he has like 50 bow and arrows in his back. Like that was cool. And then,
which, by the way, they kind of reproduced that. If you look at the latest trailer from Deadpool Wolverine.
Oh yeah,
when Deadpool was putting the swords out.
Yep. And that is also something that I believe came right out of the comics. There's a Wolverine comic where a lot of that story was adapted from, and I remember a panel that looked similar to that. Last but not least, Batman and Robin, the George Clooney edition, 12% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That makes sense.
That's fair. Yeah,
that makes sense. It's just that I don't know, for whatever reason, I'm thinking people like that because he came back like in the Flash. It's like, dude,
that's just because everyone else turned it down.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Well, Christian Bale said no. That's the only one we heard about. And Ben Affleck was already in the movie. He was probably like, dude, I don't even want to be in the end. Dude, just wipe me out mid-movie. And I mean, Adam West is dead. You can't have him back. And Val Kilmer is.
Well, they could have AI'd him.
Yeah.
Unless they didn't have that likeness in perpetuity back then.
No, that's just Christopher Reeves and everyone else.
Right.
So Batman and Robin, 12%. I think that's fair. So according to Rotten Tomatoes, X-Men Origins Wolverine is not as good as X-Men, not as good as Black Panther 2. It's better than Dark Phoenix. It's not as good as the Wolverine, and it's better than Batman and Robin. Forget about the scores itself. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Moving on. Hit or miss cast. This has been a fun segment here. So I'm going to throw out 5 casting choices. There's a theme this week. It's X-Men. It's Wolverine. Okay? So there's a spoiler. I got 5 that and I think you'll know why I picked these ones. So are you ready?
Let's go.
All right. Number 1, Tyler Mane as Sabertooth.
I would say hit, but I like Liv Schreiber better.
Okay. Vinnie Jones as Juggernaut.
Miss.
Yeah, that was bad. James Marsden as Cyclops.
Hit.
Anna Paquin as Rogue.
It's unfair. I would say a miss, but we haven't seen a comparison either.
Right. Yeah, that's hard because a lot of it is the writing.
Right.
Like they really changed the Rogue character.
Right.
But from a look and embodiment standpoint, she don't feel like Rogue.
Right. Rogue in the comics is really like a Wonder Woman.
Yes.
Like that Amazon. So she's kind of like a primal kind of person, and Anna Paquin is not that.
Yep. Well, I saved one at the end for you, Adrian. Liv Schreiber as Victor Creed.
Hit.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there you have it. Hit or miss cast. Let us know if you guys agree. Sound off. And, hey, by all means, give us some suggestions like my man Stu Franklin did last week,
There you go.
Adrian, your segment, Hidden Gem. I see you got some notes there. I see you got something special planned. I even had a little teaser, but I won't spoil it for everyone watching. What is going on in Hidden Gem this week?
All right, so the Hidden Gem this week is we talk a lot about Spider-Man. We talk a lot about movies that's being created without the main character. So this person is one of those people that the superhero kind of created, right? So this week's Hidden Gem, I jump right into it, is Kraven the Hunter.
Okay.
Right? Sergei Kravinoff, right? Now, this guy is he's got kind of an interesting background. He was like a big game hunter. I mean, he went around the world hunting big game, and it became boring to him at some point, right?
Yeah.
So he hooked up with this girl, this priestess. She gave him some elixir, and he got basically secret soldier serum powers, kind of, right? So they kind of compared him to Captain America, Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
You know, Captain America was considered the prime human at the time, and Kraven the Hunter. So they compare him, his skill set, his body, his performance, all that stuff, his endurance, to Captain America. So he got bored hunting lions, elephants, crocodiles, all this kind of stuff. So he decided that he's going to identify superhumans, and he's going to go after them.
Okay.
Right? And his prime target was Spider-Man. Right? So with all of his capabilities, with all of his skills and experience, he could never beat Spider-Man. And that kind of drove him over the edge to a point, right? So it actually got to the point where he actually came up with a scheme to actually defeat Spider-Man. He shot him, buried him alive. He thought he was dead.
Yeah. And
then he became distraught because he actually never defeated him, right? He because Spider-Man came back, he dug himself out, right? So he's like, oh shit, I didn't actually kill this guy. He became distraught, and he set up this thing called the Big Hunt, in which he invited all these animal type or animal related criminals that he was going to do this hunt. He dressed up like Spider-Man eventually, right?
Yeah.
And his son, one of his sons, and I get into it, actually killed him, thinking that it was Spider-Man, right?
Okay.
At some point, his wife, who's as sadistic as he is, resurrected him, right? And he became, as a result of that resurrection, he became immortal, right? So he couldn't die.
Yeah.
And the only way that he could die is because of if Spider-Man killed him.
Got it.
For some weird reason.
How does she resurrect him?
Who knows? They in the comics they got all this crap. You know, they got a potion to make him, you know, basically a superhuman.
Yeah.
Of course, they got a potion to resurrect him.
Okay.
I mean, you got Solomon Grundy. He's basically a zombie, right?
Yep. On Monday.
So his wife and children resurrected him, and the only way that he could die was if if Spider-Man killed him. He set himself up to again be killed. I think that's when the son comes in. So they have this whole complicated story. They go to so he has this daughter with his wife, and he's disappointed that he only has a daughter. So this is when he goes to the High Evolutionary and Mount Wundagore, right? Okay. And the High Evolutionary creates like 70 clones of him.
Yeah.
And one of the sons, because he wants to be they are so primal. So one of the sons, the last son, goes and kills off all the other clones and become the primary son. Right. Okay. Kraven is like all proud of him, blah, 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 sets up this mantle. He eventually set himself up to be killed by his son because his son thinks that he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Now, why is this relevant today? Well, we're going to have this live action movie that's coming out, Kraven, by Sony, right? Now, I'm interested to see what they're going to do with the live action and how they're going to spin his history, right? I'm sure they're going to leave out the last son, the High Evolutionary thing, those components, and they're going to make it whatever they're going to make it. But I'm just curious as to what they're going to, how they're going to spin it. But the big thing is that they're going to make another movie without Spider-Man, right? Yep. So you got Madam Web, no Spider-Man. You got Venom, no Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. You got Morbius, no Spider-Man. Now you got Kraven the Hunter. All these are enemies, foes, or they wouldn't exist without the original Spider-Man, yet they're doing them. So I'm interested to see. Now, what made Kraven even a competitor for Spider-Man, right? So he drank this elixir that was given to him by his girlfriend, Priestess.
Okay.
That made him, like I said, it's like a super soldier serum kind of a deal. So enhanced strength, he can do like 2 tons, but because of his combat experience, now this dude can go total. He would just fight lions barehanded, right?
Yeah, he's a savage.
So because of his experience, even though Spider-Man can lift more than he can. So we're talking bench press kind of a deal. So Spider-Man's at 10 tons. He's at 2, but because of experience, he can still go toe to toe with Spider-Man.
Got it.
He has endurance. He can actually take direct blows and kicks from Spider-Man, which is crazy, right? He can also, his speed is such that he can also keep up with Spider-Man, which is equally crazy because Spider-Man is just like all over the place, right? He because of his hunting, he has mastery in all these weapons, knives, all this other. Because he's a hunter. Yeah. Spears, knives, guns, potions, elixirs, poisons. So he was a master of all this stuff, and also because of this serum, when he actually died, right? He was actually in his 70s. Oh, but he looked like he was like in his 30s. Right. So he was extremely long lived. Well, they say he was immortal, but he actually and the only reason he died was because he took his own life. Yeah. And then so during this transition, when he died, he actually left his son, the last son, the one that killed off all the clones. He left his last son his name, his actual name. So the last son of Kraven took over the Sergei Kravinoff name. Got it. Became the Kraven the Hunter, and then he continued on these exploits. And his son had the same, because he was a clone, and also got involved with the same serum somehow. He had pretty much the exact powers that his father / clone
Got
had.
it.
So an interesting character. He's one of those origin supervillains that I wish they would have brought to the big screen instead of that freaking rhino thing that they did in the Spider-Man, right? Yeah. Right. So it would have made more sense for somebody like this guy because there's no AI required. I mean, just from the previews that we've seen in the movie, this is gonna be a phenomenal character, right? Yeah. So I'm really more interested to see how they're gonna spin his history and his origin. As opposed to what we understand him to be in the comics from years ago.
Right. So this movie, as of right now, it's scheduled to be released December 13th of this year. We saw at least one trailer. I don't know if there was another one, but I thought it looked pretty cool. Yeah. Aaron Tyler, what's his name? Aaron Tyler Johnson, who played Quicksilver in the Avengers, is playing Kraven. And even at Quicksilver, Aaron was a pretty big guy, but dude, he put on some mass for this role. He looks the part.
Sure.
I think it's great casting. So, I mean, from a look standpoint, we've not seen the acting yet. It's funny, you're going through those names. Here's a few confirmed characters for the movie. Obviously, Kraven. Calypso is his love interest in the movie.
Right, the one that gave him the serum.
Yep, a voodoo priestess. So she's a voodoo priestess. Right. And then Chameleon is his estranged half-brother. Correct. He's in the movie. Rhino, Alexei Starovich, or however you say it, another Russian mercenary who can turn into a human rhino hybrid. So I guess he's going to look like an actual rhino in this. So
okay.
And then,
so is this the different rhino than the rhino that we understand?
Oh yes. Fortunately, it's not the one we saw at the end of the Spider-Man movie.
Right. Wow.
And then Foreigner, another mercenary, and then Russell Crowe actually plays Kraven's father in this. Yeah. So I mean, handful of these. It sounds like they got a good foundation for this with the characters to be featured. So I'm looking forward to this. So in the Spider-Man 2 game, Kraven is a big villain, and a lot of what you're talking about, the big hunt, that is kind of that storyline's used in this game. Okay. So Kraven, same deal. He's at his kind of limit as to what he's hunted already. He's getting bored. Finds out about Spider-Man, wants to hunt down Spider-Man. Right. Now in this game, Venom's also a big part. It's a whole Venom angle as well. But you get to see the power of Kraven in this game. And there's some pretty cool boss battles fighting Kraven, and just the story was done really well. So if they kind of continue, or use some of that as influence here, I think it'd be great. But the biggest issue you already pointed out is there's no Spider-Man.
Right.
Yet. This is the one that, dude, we dealt with the Venom shit without Spider-Man. Right. Now, those movies were what they were. Would you say badly entertaining a few weeks ago? Yes. But with Spider-Man, it would have changed the game. Yep. This is one that, if we know y'all are listening, you need Spider-Man in this at the end, or maybe this leads to all right, now I'm going the beginning origin where you're talking, where he's hunting big game and whatnot. Right. maybe this movie leads to, okay, now I'm going to go hunt Spider-Man. Right. I'd be cool with that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even if they have like a cameo, like Superman came from behind the curtains in Shazam.
Yep.
You know, even if they have some kind of tie-in, something, because there's a lot of tie-ins. There's a tie-in. Speaking of Venom, right? Mm-hmm. So he went after. And there's also a Deadpool tie-in too.
Okay.
Because he went after Deadpool too. But Deadpool, he went after Deadpool because the symbiote took over Deadpool's body.
Got it.
And of course, does what he does. He had the face of Spider-Man.
Right.
So he thought that Kraven thought that he was attacking Spider-Man.
Okay.
When he was actually the symbiote that had possessed Deadpool.
Yeah.
So you got that Deadpool tie-in. You got the High Evolutionary tie-in.
Yeah.
Because he wanted sons. Kraven wanted sons, and he went to Mount Wundagore to get the High Evolutionary to create sons for him. Made 87 of them or something, some obscene number, right?
Right.
So you got a lot of different tie-ins to all of these things, that's relevant. But of course, without the Spider-Man tie-in.
Yeah, the main character. We're just missing one small little piece.
Right. Small little piece.
Yeah. But no, this movie, I'm looking forward to more than I have any other Sony non-Spider-Man movie, if that makes sense. Like over Venom, over Madam Web. This one, I think it will be good. I think Aaron Taylor Johnson will do a good job as Kraven. I just hope it leads to something else.
Right. Absolutely.
When were you first exposed to Kraven? Like through comics, animation, or
comics?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the old drawings and stuff, like in the late 80s.
Okay.
Well, in the 80s, I would say.
I
was introduced to, because to me he was like pretty much one of Spider-Man's first adversaries that I saw in the comics.
Got it.
You see what comes to mind: Green Goblin, Hobgoblin, Kraven, and those were pretty much and Doc Ock. Those were the main characters that I saw when I first started reading Spider-Man.
Would you say? I mean, Spider-Man has a deep rogue gallery. Would you say he's top 5, top 3?
I would say probably top 5.
Yeah.
Because he's malicious.
Yeah.
I mean, he's also very cunning too.
Right.
I mean, he tracks animals, so he actually sets up scenarios in which his prey come into so that he can attack and hunt them.
Let's do a little villain comparison, okay?
Yep.
You got Kraven, you got Venom.
Right.
First of all, who's got the cooler powers?
Well, Venom.
Yeah. Okay. I agree. Who's got the cooler look?
Kraven.
Kraven. Okay. I'd say Venom, but all right. And then last but not least, who's going to win in a fight?
Venom.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, he's an alien symbiote.
True. True. Yeah, it's kind of laid down. Yeah, and actually in the Spider-Man 2, spoiler alert for those of you that have not played it yet, Venom bites the head of Kraven off, and that's how Kraven's killed in that game. Literally just bites that shit off like, he was snapping into a Slim Jim.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was
enough said about that.
Yeah. So that was a test, Adrian. You say you do sanity checks. Sometimes I had to check every once in a while.
No. That's to me. That's not even really a comparison. I would compare Kraven to somebody like Deathstroke.
Okay.
He's an assassin.
Yeah.
He's an assassin. He's definitely high alpha male.
Mm-hmm.
Narcissistic.
Yep.
So I would compare him to like a Deadpool. I mean, Deathstroke. Yep.
Got it. All right. Well, another great hidden gem, Adrian, as always. We look forward to that Kraven the Hunter movie later this year. Now we're going to get into the road to Deadpool and Wolverine, I'm calling this, okay? Because, people ask, when's the movie coming out? What's going to happen? All this good stuff. But no one's ever really asked, why are we getting a Deadpool and Wolverine movie? Okay. So I did some research. Now, this is, I do believe, when I go through this, Adrian, you may feel like this thing was just meant to be, okay? So this goes back to 1994. We had X-Men the Animated Series, right? Fox produced that show.
Yep.
20th Century Fox is their movie studio. They were so impressed with that show's success that they bought the rights to X-Men in 1994, okay? So this is when Marvel had the rights to these movies, but they didn't have a movie studio, so they were selling them off. Fox buys the rights to X-Men. They start working on the movie. Years later, several shitty scripts later, because nothing gets made. Finally, in the year 2000, they have a movie, the first X-Men movie we talked about earlier, right? That same year, Artisan Entertainment, they announced a deal with Marvel to produce several Marvel films, including a Deadpool film. So back in 2000, they had already planned on a Deadpool movie.
Okay.
On a $75 million budget, the first X-Men movie did $296 million at the box office, was well received critically, and then Fox ordered a sequel right away. 2003, the X2 movie came out. Right, that movie did well as well. And in 2004, in the comics, Deadpool, there was a comic, Cable and Deadpool. Okay, Deadpool referred to himself as looking like Ryan Reynolds crossed with a Shar-Pei. So this is before Ryan Reynolds was ever attached to the role. Whoever wrote Deadpool snuck that in there. That same year, that caught the attention of Ryan Reynolds. He was interested in the character. That same year, David S. Goyer, the writer of the Blade series, and Ryan Reynolds start working on a Deadpool movie for New Line Cinema. And that never sees the light of day because of some rights issues, which I guess Deadpool technically was part of the X-Men universe, so they couldn't make this movie. You know, Fox owns X-Men. They're like, no, you can't make it. It's our character.
Right.
You know, so interesting. It's pretty cool that they said that about Ryan. It's almost like the Samuel L. Jackson thing. The Deadpool character says something about Ryan Reynolds, and he wants to play the character. When they when they redid Samuel L. Jackson in I think the Ultimate Universe, because he used to be a white dude with gray hair. Right. They turned him into a Samuel L. Jackson look-alike.
You mean Nick Fury?
Nick Fury. Yeah. What did I say? Samuel L. Jackson? Yeah. No, they didn't change his race. He's always been a black dude. But Nick Fury was a white dude, military-looking guy with the, we still had the eye patch.
Sure.
And they were doing the Ultimate Unit, so they get into the multiverse, and they want to, do a different version. They base it on Samuel L. Jackson. And they asked him about it, and he goes, you can use my likeness as long as I get to play him if he ever shows up in a Marvel movie. So that's how that happened. Oh, so very similar to the, Ryan Reynolds, right? So anyways, around that same time, X-Men Origins Wolverine's greenlit because they did the first two X-Men movies. Wolverine's popular character. Fox wants a Wolverine movie. Fox also tells Ryan Reynolds that they're interested in a Deadpool movie around that time. So this is 2004, 2005. They say that Deadpool will have a cameo in the X-Men movie. And then once, they started working on the movie in production, they expanded Deadpool's role because of how well Ryan Reynolds did. So they made him a bigger part of the movie. But then we saw what they did. If you can really go back, and I said this last week, I'd be impressed if they fuck up Wolverine and Deadpool, but they already fucked it up once. Right. That's kind of impressive that you took two characters that cool and screwed it up that bad. You know what I mean? So that's a skill set. It's a skill set to be that bad. Yeah, I don't know what it's called. We'll come up with it. But so they expand his role. This movie is released in 2009. So, they started planning this in 2005. 4 years later, X-Men Origins is released. $158 million opening week. Big opening week, but it topped out at 373 worldwide, so it didn't do much after that first week. That was on a $150 million budget, so I bet they barely broke even. But because of how big that first week was, Fox started working on a rated R Deadpool movie. And then they realized how bad the movie did. But they're still going forward with this. And do that Deadpool, the mouth sewn shut. Have you ever seen anything like we've seen a lot of changes from comic characters to on-screen characters. Is there another one that's that drastic and bad to you? I can't think of any. That was impressively bad.
Besides Rhino?
I guess
I didn't even know that was Deadpool. I just in my mind I locked in on Weapon X, and I didn't even realize that was Deadpool. Got it. So it's like it was bad.
Yeah, you used that Men in Black thing and wiped out when they said Deadpool. Just remove that part. But that's a good point. It didn't feel like Deadpool at all. So anyways, that 2 years later, Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern film comes out, which that movie did so bad that Fox at that point started to rethink coming out with a Deadpool movie because of how bad Ryan Reynolds' movie did, right? Wow. So at that point, they kind of put the brakes. They had some discussions about making Deadpool PG-13. After meeting with the writer and director, they realized that wasn't going to work because of who the character was. So instead of greenlighting the movie, they gave the director $100,000 or so, or it said low six figures to create some test footage to see how that looked first, right? So this was that highway scene. I don't know if you remember, but that was leaked. There was a highway scene where Deadpool drops into the...
When he was sitting up there waiting for the...
Yes.
Okay, yep.
So they created that with straight CGI. Ryan Reynolds voiced the character. And in 2012, that was done. They showed it to Fox. They weren't impressed enough to move forward, so they put it on the back burner. So at that point, they weren't going to make this movie.
Wow.
Then, July of 2014, somehow, Adrian, this test footage leaked online. I wonder, now people, there's a little conspiracy theory here. They say that someone at Fox leaked it.
Of course.
Maybe it was Ryan Reynolds.
Maybe.
I mean, if he did, hey, good for him. This leak, I remember when this leaked, and it was all over like Facebook and social media at the time, and dude, everybody loved it. We're losing our, because they're like, this is cool as shit. Like, this was around the times of the Avengers, so you had like, actually it was 2 years later, so we're used to like this, you know, PG-13, it was cool, but this was like the adult shit that we're used to in the comics, right? So that thing blew up, and then 2 months later, this is some shit, July of 2014, this is 2 years after Fox said no. Test footage is dropped. Everybody loves it. September of 2014, they set a 2016 release date for Deadpool. They give them the go-ahead because of how well the test footage did. So kind of like you were talking about earlier, like let the public decide, like show us some stuff. I wish they did more of this shit.
Right.
Give me one little scene. See how everybody reacts. They don't like it? All right, move on. Hey, they love it.
I do think that would probably get unfair when it comes to the actual making of the movies, because then you're impacting the director's vision, even though some directors, because it's a hit or miss.
Yeah.
Right. So what if they did a pre-release of, you know, Spider-Man Across the Universe or the Spider-Verse? You know, some people might not, enough people might have not liked it to the point where
True.
that
it could backfire.
the movie never even got made.
Yeah.
But it did get made, and it did what it did.
Yeah.
So taking it to that level, I think would be probably more dangerous or more hurtful, than you know, picking actors and actresses.
Gotcha. So yeah, it could backfire.
Right.
Here it didn't. Here everyone ate it up. They greenlit the movie. Deadpool was a major success, released in 2016, did $783 at the box office on a $58 million budget. So dude, they're raking in cash there. Imagine that, dude. Like, hey, I give you $58 million, you return $783.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're over in Marvel. They're just swimming in money at Marvel right now, or back then. 2017, Hugh Jackman.
Well, not Marvel, the production studios, right? Because Marvel
it was
sold
Fox,
right?
yeah.
That was crazy.
Yep. So Deadpool, major success. All while this is going on, you know, Hugh Jackman's playing Wolverine like every other year in different X-Men movies. And I mean, he's everywhere, right?
When you say it like that, it's just comical. It's like, what's his face, like showing up as a shrub or something, like, what's his name? The comedian.
Oh,
the little one,
Kevin Hart.
Yeah. It's like Kevin Hart showing up everywhere. It's like it's in that vein. But anyway,
it was. I mean, dude, even in like the shitty ones, he's in there for like X-Men Apocalypse.
Right.
The best scene is when they run into Weapon X, and he's got the actual Weapon X shit on, and he kills all the damn soldiers.
Right.
And then you know, Gene reads his mind and whatever. But anyway, so yeah, he's everywhere. But then in 2017, Logan comes out. He retires. He's getting older. Dude. Logan, I rewatched the bulk of this movie this weekend. Amazing movie. Great send-off. Probably one of the best send-offs for a comic character, would you say?
Absolutely, dude.
One thing about that movie that sticks out, like if this is why it's not perfect to me, I think the villain was a little underwhelming. They had the X-24, the Wolverine clone. And you know what's sad is there was a rumor that Sabertooth, Liv Schreiber's Sabertooth, was supposed to kind of play that role, which I think would have made that movie perfect, you know? So anyways, besides the point. But that movie came out. Hugh Jackman's Logan, this thing does $619 at the box office on a $97 million budget. So still amazing, right? Logan dies at the end, perfect send-off. We think Hugh Jackman's done, right? We kind of accepted. Like, were you cool with that? Like, we've seen enough, it's cool. Like, I think that, you know, and Logan being probably the best Wolverine, not probably, definitely the best Wolverine movie, but probably his best appearance.
Right.
So it was a cool send-off. And Deadpool 2 comes out in 2018. So, Deadpool 1 did great. They greenlit a sequel. This movie does $785 on a $110 million budget. There's a post-credit scene where Deadpool goes back in time to kill the Deadpool from X-Men Origins, right? That was great. And he also kills, so all this is connected. He also kills the Ryan Reynolds with the Green Lantern script in his hand. I'm sure DC loved that.
Right.
Do you remember seeing those for the first time, that post-credit?
I don't think I even saw that because when the movie's done, dude, I want to get out before all the people start, all the herds try to go for the door. I'm thinking I gotta get out the theater, hit the bathroom, and get out the parking lot. So I miss a lot of post credits.
Got it. But you've seen this since.
Yeah, I've seen it since.
Yep.
Yes.
And I always loved that. Thought it was very Deadpool.
Yeah.
Right. And that same year, Ryan Reynolds announces that they're going to do an X-Force film. Because remember, X-Force was featured in that movie. And then towards the end, you had the X-Force lineup, or one of them anyways, with Cable, Domino, Cyclops, obviously Deadpool. So X-Force film was announced. Deadpool 3 was announced. The rumor was they're going to do the X-Force first, then Deadpool 3. Around this time, dude, Disney's buying up like everything.
Right.
So I think it was in 2017 they announced that they had a deal with Fox, but it wasn't done yet. Fast forward, 2019, Disney buys Fox. The deal is done. They cancel all X-Men movies that are in development, including X-Force and Deadpool 3. Now, they did say at this point that they were going to bring Deadpool into the MCU, and they were going to keep him rated R, but they canceled all the stuff that was planned, okay? So for a while, we had no idea what was going to happen. Dude, when you first heard Disney bought Deadpool, did you think it was done? Did you think they would go rated R?
No. I definitely didn't think they would go rated R, and I thought they was basically going to pooch screw the whole comic book genre.
Right. So since they bought X-Men, we've not seen any X-Men movies yet. We saw Beast show up in the Marvels at the end, and they had confirmed that Ms. Marvel is a mutant, and so is Namor. So we see a little bit of it sprinkled in there. And then also in She-Hulk, there was one of the episodes where there was like a news headline. Wait
a minute, Ms. Marvel, Kamala Khan?
Yeah.
Is a mutant?
Yep. At the end of that show, if you remember her, I forget the kid's name, but the little science, the genius kid that's helping her out, he did some type of blood test on her and realized that she had the mutant gene. And they played a little X. It was subtle.
She had the mutant gene in order to do the bangle.
Yes.
Control the bangle. Got it. Yep.
So they confirm she's a mutant. Namor is the first mutant. And then, Beast shows up in a post-credit. So they're slowly dropping them in. She-Hulk, there's a news clipping that says man in bar with like claws or whatever gets into a fight. So at this point, there's a Wolverine in the MCU somewhere. Right. So all these things are happening.
Speaking of miscast, Namor. Man.
Yeah, you're not big on the Namor casting. Nope. So you're saying I don't need to include that on Hit or Miss next week? No. We got
that whole Atlantean thing was just Namor, Namorita. It was just
You didn't like it?
No.
Anyway, so Disney buys them in 19, cancels all these movies, and we've not heard much about Deadpool since, except for that they are going to keep them rated R. And I think what they made a statement along the lines of like, as long as we tell the audience that like it's going to be rated R, we're okay. Like we don't want any surprises, which obviously you have to. You gotta, it's not going to be. You're not going to show up to the movie and go, "Oh shit, this is a rated R movie." Damn, you're going to know beforehand. But anyways, Disney felt they had to remind us of that. So a few years later, and this was I think last year. Prior to a meeting with Kevin Feige to discuss ideas for Deadpool 3, shortly after giving up asking Hugh Jackman daily to come out of retirement, because there was a point in time where Ryan Reynolds was calling him every day.
Right.
Imagine that, like, if you didn't do this podcast and I would just call you up every day, like, hey, do you want to do the podcast? You want to do the podcast? At some point, you're like, dude, fucking leave me alone. Right. No, I do. I mean, I would probably give up after like the second or third try.
Sure.
So Ryan does this for an extended period of time, and then right around the time he stops, Kevin Feige calls him in for a meeting. They're going to discuss ideas about Deadpool 3. And Ryan had said that they didn't really have anything. Ryan Reynolds had this idea of a Wolverine team-up kind of ride-along film years ago that never got made. Then he retired in Logan. So it was kind of like, we're never going to get to do that. So they were pretty much at a loss for what are we going to do with Deadpool 3. Literally, like, days before he goes to meet with Feige, Hugh Jackman calls him. And is like, I'll do it. I'll come out of retirement. So then he goes to Feige, like, hey, he was going to come out of retirement. Let's do this. And so all those things being lined up and hitting the way they did, that's why we got Deadpool versus Deadpool and Wolverine.
Wow.
There you have it. Timeline, Adrian, that was about, I don't know, 18 minutes or so.
Right.
I just brought you up like 20 years like that, dude.
That's a complex backstory, dude.
Right?
There's a lot. You got to imagine all the pieces that had to be moved in order for that to happen. That's a lot.
It kind of like validates that whole, everything happens for a reason.
Right.
And you don't understand it. Like, it's almost like we needed X-Men animated series to be amazing to kick this whole thing off, right? We needed the X-Men movies to do what they did. If Deadpool wasn't so poorly received in X-Men Origins, they would have continued with that version of Deadpool, and we never would have got this one. It's almost like Wolverine Origins had to suck for Deadpool and Logan and Deadpool and Wolverine to even exist.
It's the way it happens sometimes.
It's the way it happens, dude.
All right, hey.
It's like I understand it all. That's how the multiverse works. So
well, we're benefiting now.
We are. Years later.
Years later.
So I guess patience is a virtue.
I guess.
Or just hope you're around long enough to see it, because there's people that have died, Adrian, have only seen Deadpool as that shitty version in X-Men Origins.
This is true.
Imagine going to the grave with that.
Wow.
I'd come back and haunt someone. That's why I go.
Come back as Beetlejuice?
I would. That would cause me to come back as Beetlejuice. So there you have it. The road to Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm even more excited after going through that. I'm ready to go watch it right now.
Right.
All right. Adrian, we respond. I got a handful of comments I picked out. You didn't even know this was coming. So I do it.
Let's do it.
I got some fun stuff here. I try to pick some conversation starters, because sometimes, me, sometimes I dip into the negativity, and I want to, fire some shots, but that's not what this is about.
Well, you don't dip into your negativity. You dip into your perspective.
Yes, true.
And if it comes across as negative,
it may. But I've chose to refrain from those types of comments this week. Okay. I got some conversation starters.
This is going to be interesting.
It's going to be different, yeah. So Outsmoke on YouTube. This was in response to our Jonathan Majors Deserves a Second Chance. He says, I wish Disney wasn't so Disney sometimes. He was great in Loki. I think what he's trying to say is if it was any other movie studio, they probably would have brought Majors back by now, possibly. Is this move of, removing him and not even mentioning it and maybe possibly, is that just Disney being Disney to you? Is that because of their image, or what do you think?
I don't know why they continue to portray this, apple pie company, because they're not. The founder, killing the partner and putting his bones in a ride and that whole thing. So they can just get over that, but it's in line with what they think that they are.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even though they're not.
Correct.
But it could also be other stuff. They'll never admit to it. We'll never know.
Right.
It's just tragic.
It is. But yeah, so it's I agree with you that this image they're holding up is not really who they are, but that image is important to them.
Yep.
Not everyone knows what these little Walt Disney secrets, right? They just think it's all Mickey Mouse and sunshine and rainbows.
It is not.
It is not. But I think I would agree with Outsmoke. I think it is Disney being Disney. It's apropos. It's on par. It's par for the course. Now, wouldn't be me. I'd let him back, dude.
Absolutely.
Next up, Tiger Suit 24 says, have you guys seen the new photos from the set of Superman? Mr. Terrific looks incredible. So does Superman too. He says they're amazing. He goes on to say that he can't wait to see what the new Batman would look like. So does he look? You saw these photos.
I did.
Yeah.
First of all, there's one where he's smiling, and he looks like if Christopher Reeve and Henry Cavill smashed. So
like Face Off almost.
Yeah. It's uncanny.
Okay.
How they pick these characters, which is cool.
Yep.
But then the suit is padded. He doesn't look muscular.
Right.
It's kind of like flappy.
Mm-hmm.
Like he put on his, he's a 14-year-old and he put on his uncle's suit or something.
Right.
Kind of deal. So I'm not feeling it.
Okay. Forget about the bagginess of the suit. Do you like the bright colors. Like it pops like a Superman comic suit. Do you like that or no?
I don't like the stealth. I never liked the stealthiness of it. Like I like the original Batman, dark blue and gray suit, and then his muscles filled out the suit.
Yeah.
I don't like the padding part, which is what the route that they took here. I like the old X-Men uniforms where the bodies made the uniform. Like it's like the suit, the man makes the suit, not the suit makes the man kind of a deal.
Yep.
And they're going with the suit makes the man kind of route.
Yeah. The bagginess is a little distracting. Now, I did, some people in the comments were saying they're going to tighten that up with CGI after the fact, which may be true. Now, I don't know if you knew this, but a lot of like Spider-Man, when he showed up in Civil War, that suit is all CGI. They actually filmed it with a different suit. And then in post-production, they changed the style of the suit and CGI'd over it. So that is a possibility. These are also just, set photos that people are snapping from their damn apartment room.
Sure.
But because in that original photo, when he's sitting, pumping up his boots and the world's exploding behind him, it didn't seem as baggy to me. This seemed a lot more baggy.
Yeah, it did. It did. I don't know, but how about you get a character that's fitting, literally, of the character he or she is portraying.
Right.
You're going to pay that person a salary anyway. And I understand you got other people in the background making money, but you could probably cut your budget a little bit with the CGI by not having CGI if you find somebody that actually fits the suit. The Rock with Black Adam?
Yeah. How he took the padding out of the suit and was like, let me show you how you're supposed to wear a suit.
Right. This dude literally put on, black and gold saran wrap. And he was good.
Exactly.
It's done.
Yep.
You don't have to have all the padding and all this other kind of. It's crazy.
But I'll say I like the colors. I like the Henry Cavill suit's cool, but it's so dark and muted, and I'm used to like Spider-Man. Superman's supposed to be a bit cringy, almost like Cap. He's supposed to be bright and red and blue and in your face and look like a damn Boy Scout. So I like the color, the look. The bagginess has got me a little concerned. I like the Lois Lane character with the purple. It kind of looks like it's out of the comic. I feel like he's going with comic accurate. So I do believe James Gunn, from a visual standpoint, will kind of do his thing. He's always done that with Guardians. They've always looked good.
Right.
However you feel about the movie itself, it always looked good.
Right.
So
what's the era for this Superman thing?
It looks like modern day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Or maybe like 90s. There's newspapers and shit. So maybe 90s, 2000s.
You hear what you just said?
Yeah.
There's newspapers?
Yeah. Dude, when's the last time you went to a newspaper thing? Exactly.
That's like VCRs and 8-tracks, and people don't even know what 8-tracks are. Next thing you know, it's like, there's no microwaves.
Right.
There's no this, there's no that. It's like, wow, where are we? But no, I thought it was going to be like earlier, like for whatever reason, I thought it was going to be like 60s, 50s.
Okay.
I don't know why I thought that. Maybe that crazy S.
Yeah. Yeah, because that is from that old Kingdom Come, I believe.
Yeah,
one of those. So yeah, I don't know that they've even confirmed the era, but for me, it looks like 90s, 2000s.
Okay.
They had some more modern cars, but they still, the news is traveling through via newspapers. So
gotcha.
Which, I like that though, because it reminds me, like, I don't want everything to take place in the 50s,
right?
But I don't. Sometimes when you take an older comic story and force it into the new era, it feels a little. Feels like it doesn't fit, Well,
also, it's got to be newspaper based because if it's modern, then there is no Daily Planet.
Right.
There is no Clark Kent as a reporter. There's no Perry White. There's no Lois Lane.
Correct.
You got to eliminate all of that stuff.
Yes. Yep. Because in the Spider-Man game, it's based in current day, and Jonah Jameson's a podcast host.
Okay.
So he's like, trying to do what we do,
Okay.
But he's also shitting all over Spider-Man, but it's from the podcast. And Peter Parker, yes, he is a photographer, or he was at one point, but he's not working for the Bugle in here. He referenced at a time when he used to.
Right.
So, but yeah, to your point, if they want to do that traditional story, you kind of need to have newspapers being, or you could do a web-based thing, but then you're going to change the whole.
Right. Yeah, you can have elements of the Daily Planet, but it would definitely be different.
Yeah.
And, if you're a podcaster, why would Lois Lane be showing up at the office for
exactly
her to meet Clark Kent?
Correct. So I'm cool with them keeping it. And I think we've not had a really, really good traditional Superman story on screen in a long time.
Right. But they do need to catch up with the times at some point.
Yes. Yep.
And sunset all of that stuff, because Superman is extremely long-lived. He's not immortal like Wonder Woman.
Right.
But at some point, like 20 years from now, when they make a Superman movie, the Day of the Planet probably should be something else. You know?
Should be a website, yeah.
Right.
I mean, going to work for a website, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you could still go out and find, take photos, do whatever the hell. Anyways, I'm looking forward to this movie, though.
Sure.
Something different.
Sure.
And like you had said, several months ago, DC do something. So here you go. Here's something.
I just hope they don't treat this guy like they did Brandon Routh.
Yeah.
Just in and out, and he's just gone. I actually thought he was a decent Superman.
Yeah.
I actually thought
now, he was the
decent.
one that was he was the Christopher Reeves character, right? Like the same character, just recasted. Is that accurate? Brandon Routh or no?
What do you mean?
So that Superman that Brandon plays is the same character that Christopher Reeve played. And he's just
Superman?
The same storyline. Like, you got Henry Cavill's completely different story.
Right.
His own Superman.
Yes, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
He apparently went out in space for whatever reason, came back.
Yeah.
He was gone for like years or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing I liked about the Brandon Routh Superman is that dude was like just a normal guy.
Yeah.
Drank beer, which you never saw Superman do in the previous. He had sex because he had a child. Right. So he's doing things in that movie that no other Superman had did before or since. Even though Cavill got in the tub with Lois Lane.
Yeah.
But I mean, Brandon was he was hitting something.
Yeah, he's doing
right. So I thought it was a good movie.
Yeah.
I thought he was a decent character, and then he just kind of went away.
Yeah, I forget what happened. I think it was just so close to the Man of Steel coming out. Like they did that one movie, and I don't know how well it did or not. And then they had the whole Snyder thing, Man of Steel, and that whole dark. Everything's dark.
Whatever.
We're just gonna film with the lights off. Like it's really what it is, right? Let's just take Superman and make it dark.
I think this probably also affected, because you were saying about how his suit was like darker. They started going with this Gotham City thing. It's like, oh, let's make him a little darker like the Batman. Then Batman just went black.
Yes,
it just got crazy.
Yep. Speaking of Batman, that guy Tyler 1212 on TikTok says Heath Ledger's played a great villain, but Jack Nicholson was the best and most accurate live-action version of the Joker.
I disagree. Now, Jack Nicholson's version of Joker was definitely better than Arnold Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze. That's
true.
Definite.
True. Yeah.
Or George Clooney's Batman.
That's true.
But the best,
I don't think it's the best. Now, at one point, that was all we had, right, in live action. I know we had Cesar Romero, the one in the Adam West show, who had the mustache with the makeup over the mustache, who actually I thought was pretty good for that era, for that time. But before we had Heath Ledger, how did you feel about Jack Nicholson's Joker?
I thought it was. I didn't really think anything of it. So, and again, if I don't have to think about it, if I don't have to do math while I'm watching a show, that means it's passable.
Got it.
It's acceptable.
Yep.
When you get into like the nipples and it's just like, wait a minute, what did I just say? Why are they showing George Clooney's ass? It's just weird. Ridiculous stuff like that is what makes a bad movie to me. So Jack Nicholson, I thought he did a good job as the Joker for the time.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I mean, I one part I partly agree with. He said that it was a more comic, or it says more accurate lie. I think he means more comic accurate. I would say the villain that the Joker Jack Nicholson played felt more like a comic Joker than Heath Ledger's.
Yes.
But
because Heath Ledger was definitely more sinister.
Yeah.
And you felt that.
But it was done right. Like he evolved the Joker character. And I think to a point where you even saw in the comics after that movie came out, they wrote Joker closer to the Heath Ledger.
Right,
like they even changed his look. So he literally took that character to another level.
I think people hear Joker, they see Joker, and they think comedy.
Yes.
But Joker is a mad, sadistic, evil person. Right. And I think the Heath Ledger Joker was more in tune with that as opposed to Jack Nicholson comedy kind of deal.
Right. I mean, Joker's he's the only one that has caused Batman to come close to breaking that no-kill rule,
right,
or even breaking it, depending on what. Like in the Killing Joke, I fall into that group of fans that believe Batman killed Joker at the end.
Right.
If you remember, they're both laughing, and then Joker's panel turns black, and now only Batman's laughing. I think what they showed us was he killed Joker in that, because that's a one-off. So to be that level, like, you have to be pretty damn sadistic to get Batman to even flinch at that rule, because I mean it's part of his whole character, right? So yeah, and Joker's just killed masses of people like nothing,
just for no reason. Yeah, like in the Superman animation where he tricked Superman into killing Lois and their baby, right? And then right after that, nuked Gotham City.
Like same day, he was just wasn't done yet.
Just to get Superman to kill him.
Yep.
Right? It's crazy.
Yeah.
And so that's the level of sadistic the Joker is, and I think a lot of people just miss that because they just see him laughing all the time.
Correct. But yeah, I definitely enjoy the Jack Nicholson Joker. The part I didn't enjoy was I feel like they humanized him a little too much. They made him like the mob guy, and then they tied it back to Joker being Jack Napier, who is the same guy who killed Martha. And it was just too much. Like, we don't need to make Joker the one who killed, because the whole idea, and that's why I feel like there's a little bit of a miss there with, bringing this Batman to screen, because Batman creates the villains. If you're going to make Joker the one who killed Batman's parents, then Joker created Batman.
Correct.
And that's not how it's ever been in the comic. And I know he doesn't always have to be, but that's something I never liked about that movie. And Heath Ledger, there's just a different, like, even now, going back, I've seen that movie dozens of times, The Dark Knight. I can't skip Heath Ledger's parts. He just, the presence he has on screen, dude, it's like the movie moves up to another level when he's on screen. Right. And you don't see, that's few and far between. I've seen tons of movies. You have to, like, that doesn't happen all the time. That was just something special about that. It's unfortunately only got to see him, once. Next up, Quincy J86 says, no BS, Adam West before Val.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Jackass. Sorry, Batman from Spring Hill, but Adam West before Val, yeah. Now, dude, the Adam West Batman.
Yeah.
I like it. Like, I haven't seen it in years, so I wonder how it's held up. Now, this was it was the 60s, right?
Yeah,
when that thing already came up. Yeah. So, when you were a kid, this was already probably in, like, syndication. Like,
yeah, definitely.
So you're used to, and even when I was a kid, it was still in syndication. Like, this shit was always on. Right. Like, did you grow up on that, Adam West?
I did. It's like, and I'm always amazed by, like, I think some of the cinematography, like, if you look at movies like the Old Testament stuff, like Noah, what's the guy that, anyway. Yeah. The cinematography back then still holds up today, and I think a lot of it looks better than this 4K shit that we got now. But I always thought, so the Adam West, he was like, him and Robin kind of like, kind of fruity. Yes. Right? The little quirks, the little things. And then when they like, they shoot up the grappling hook, and obviously they're just walking across the floor.
Oh yeah.
But the way they make it seem, right? They turn the camera stuff. It's just corny stuff, but it was cool for then.
It was.
But I'm a big graphics guy.
Yeah.
Like I said, the cinematography holds up today. For me, and I thought that was like one of the coolest bad cars.
Oh man,
even today,
it still
even
is.
Today.
Yeah, it's iconic. The black and red. Yeah. It's like a hot rod. And all right, how'd you feel? Because you like the blue and gray suit.
Yep.
This was pretty close to being blue and gray. It was. It was like gray and black. How'd you feel about the bat suit?
Well, at the time, it was the only one that was available, right? Even Robin's suit, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And if you look at the era, dude, I mean, even before that, I mean, if and I think I mentioned this before, they had superhero characters in other countries. Yeah. Like there's a version of Batwoman, like a Spanish version of a Batwoman. Okay. I mean, they made them like more sexy kind of outfits and stuff. But I mean, so this stuff has been even back in the 30s and 40s and 50s and stuff. They had these kind of superhero characters, on the big screen. But Adam West, that was the man.
Yeah.
That was the man.
Dude, it was good. I enjoyed it as a kid. And what I liked about it is it felt like it was a show. There was, you know, a lot of times the episode, you get some finality at every episode. Then there were special times where it would carry over to the next episode, and you'd be hooked, like, it's going to come on tomorrow or whatever. Like, it was cool. It was, and to your point about the cinematography holding up, they didn't have the luxury of CGI and shit like that to clean it up. Let's clean it up in post.
Right.
They had to get that shit right.
Correct.
And it had to look legit.
Right.
I was reading this thing about the Wizard of Oz, old movie. I mean, that movie, it's
classic, still classic.
It is. I forget when it was actually released. I'll pull it up.
Wasn't that in his 60s? Also, 50s?
No, 39, 1939.
Right.
So I was reading this thing about how they created the tornado. In the beginning of the movie, because there was no CGI back then. It ain't Twisters and shit, with the fire tornado. It ain't Sharknado. Dude, it was like a car with a big ass cloth going to some like crane thing that they built, and they're driving it around, and they figured out the way to spin it. Like, dude, it was like a legit physical tornado that they created.
Oh, wow.
So, dude, they had to get that shit right. Wow. And it still holds up today. I mean, it doesn't look like, Twisters.
Right.
But you're not distracted by how fake it look, which sometimes happens. And to your point, like Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, that movie, I feel like I can see the green screen in it. Wow. It looks like they're just standing in a big-ass room and everything's green screen. And you look at a movie like The Wizard of Oz from 1939 that I think holds up as better looking than some of this shit we have today. Practical effects. I mean, they had no choice. So
yeah, I just like music. I love movies like that from back in the day. Like It's a Wonderful Life, still my favorite Christmas movie.
Even more than Batman Returns.
Yes. Miracle on 34th Street.
Yeah.
I mean, those are Christmas movies, but it's just that the cinematography, it's just crazy, and they did so much with so little.
Correct.
And like you said, they had to get it perfect in order to get that stuff on screen.
Dude, I was rewatching Batman '89, the one with Jack Nicholson, right? Yeah. And my wife she's sitting next to me. She was doing something and just kind of like watching it with me. And she goes, "Where was this filmed? Like, what city was it filmed in?" Now, it was filmed like on set, and a lot of the backdrops were paintings and stuff. But I'm like, the fact that she looks at it and goes, "Where was this filmed?" Meaning they did a good enough job to make this painting and all these practical things look like a real Gotham City.
Right.
To now where they just shoot a video and overlay with some CGI. Like, they had to do more. So I think the practical effects are missing in a lot of these movies nowadays, unfortunately. But I think that's why the Dark Knight series did so well, is Christopher Nolan's big on, let's do this shit for real. Right. Let's blow it up for real versus CGI. Like the hospital, I think that was, when Joker blows up the hospital, that was an actual hospital that was scheduled to be demoed, and they built it into the screenplay and filmed it as if it was their explosion.
Nice.
Like shit versus just, hey, let's take
CGI,
a video. Yeah, CGI. Dude, it goes a long way.
Yeah. You got a flame in front of a structure that you can actually still see in the background.
Correct.
It's crazy.
Yep. So speaking of that, here's another great segue for you. Hickory Thickory 8. So I don't know, that's an interesting TikTok name. Okay, Hickory. He says the best Batmobile is the Tumbler from Dark Knight Rises.
Agree.
You agree with that?
Absolutely.
Now, I think it'd be my second. I'm a little biased to the Battinson mobile. Okay. Right. You like that? The Battinson mobile?
Bedward.
Yep. Bedward. And maybe because, I'm a Dodge Hemi guy, I drive a Charger.
Sure,
I was driving in today. I felt like I was Batman doing 92 on the highway. But
you were thinking about not doing 92 on the highway, right?
Something like that. You know what I was thinking? Because there's of course, there's a guy in the left lane going the same speed as the fucking guy in the right lane. Sure. And finally, when he gets over, and then he's dramatic. He gets over before the lane's there. Like, oh, look, well, dude, just go the speed limit, or maybe a little bit over, and I won't have to do this.
Right.
Anyways, but as I rolled around him, thinking about doing 91, I thought, dude, how badass would it be to be Flash and run that as fast as, because it feels good to go fast. I don't know about you. I just a random thought. I'm like, it would be cool, right? To just zip all around. Yeah. Not Ezra Miller style.
No. I mean, I don't understand why his hips don't get disconnected. The way it's just weird.
Yes. But wouldn't that be cool to just zip I don't know. But the Tumbler, this I mean, up until the recent Battinson mobile, this was my favorite. It's just a badass, like, it's weird because it doesn't look like a Batmobile, but it does. Like, it doesn't look like anything out of the comics, but it's black, and it fits that Nolan universe so perfect.
I think what it is like, it's kind of like along those same lines that, Spider-Man is like the #1 Marvel character.
Yeah.
People can relate. You can relate to the Battinson Batmobile more so than any other vehicle.
Correct.
You literally can be like, okay, I can take my car and put it in the garage and make this thing in a weekend.
Yeah, put a jet engine in it or something.
Sure.
Yeah. But I wonder how much horsepower that thing has. But dude,
well, hold on. So the Fast and Furious, they started talking about when they was trying to capture Vin Diesel in his car or whatever, they shot up the cars and they was like holding them or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
He was like, what is that? Like 500, 800? Oh, that's got to be 1,000 or 3,000 horse. Come on, dude. Whatever. So I would assume because he, Bruce Wayne has unlimited money, he can put more than a Vin Diesel engine in his Batmobile.
Absolutely.
Right? So I would say at least 1,000 horsepower.
Wow. So is Battinson going to show up in Fast and Furious 11?
That would be hilarious.
Could you imagine? That would be great. I mean,
getting his ass kicked by Vin Diesel because Vin Diesel has all these superpowers. Apparently.
Yeah, and he also has a no-lose clause in his contract. Right. So, but the Tumbler, dude, it's like literally a tank on steroids. It's like a tank with a Hemi in it.
Sure.
I mean, this thing's damn near indestructible. And I think with that, like, watching that, at least that thing would be fun as hell to drive.
Oh, yeah.
Like, on
somebody
the rooftop.
made one of those, though, for real, though, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I think what's crazy about Batman, like, fandom, any of these Batmobiles you've seen on screen, you can buy one in real life. Sure. Like, someone makes them out there.
Yeah.
But I remember when it debuted in the movie, like, when he first breaks it out in Batman Begins, and he's driving on the rooftops and shit. Right. Like, dude, that was a badass scene.
Yeah.
Is there a Tumbler scene that sticks out to you, like, as your favorite? I'll give you – mine is not really – it is a Tumbler scene. It's in the Dark Knight when he's driving in the tunnel. And two parts here. One, Joker's got the bazooka. First of all, Joker in the trailer with the bazooka, like, that's so Joker. We were just talking about how, like, Heath Ledger is not the perfect comic act, but that's just so Joker.
Absolutely.
Oh, the gun ain't working? Give me the bazooka.
Yep.
And, dude, when this thing – he fires the trigger. The Tumbler jumps up, takes the shot, sacrifice, the Tumbler for it. That was cool. The whole, chase was awesome. Right. And then when it turns into, the little motorcycle deal, that for me was my favorite.
Yeah.
You have one that stands out?
It was that one and the rooftop. That did it for me.
That was cool.
Yeah. And actually, when he went back to the Batcave, he like jumps over something through the waterfalls.
Water or something, right?
Yeah. So that was pretty cool too.
Yeah, dude. The cool thing about the rooftop one, I really liked when how it was shot, where we're watching the news. They got the helicopters following it. So instead of us, like, it flashes back and forth, but I thought it was so cool to see everybody like glued to the news, like, what the hell's going on? Right. And you see this Tumbler jumping on roofs and shit. So yeah dude, Tumbler is badass. But I love that highway chase with Penguin and Battinson with the muscle car.
Is it the chase or the car?
I think it's both.
Okay.
I think
that's fair.
The introduction, I'll say this, the introduction of that Batmobile was probably the best introduction of any Batmobile on screen. They're fighting, right. And then
Selena Kyle's like stealing money or something, right? And they just light it up in the alley.
Yeah, it's like he hit as a remote starter,
Yeah.
And the blue flames and shit. That was a badass. Like that was like the vehicle became a character, which I feel like you have to do that with the Batmobile.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So, do you think a Batman, forget about the whole secret identity and the fact that you can tell who people are by the half mask, assuming none of that could ever happen, right?
Yeah.
Do you think a Batman with as militarized as, the local police is today, do you think a Batman could survive today? Because I just saw news footage where some guy in, I guess, somewhere in Florida, maybe Miami, I don't know what the conditions were, maybe a drug dealer, whatever.
Yeah.
Just a simple, they're in a residential neighborhood, and the cops show up in a battle tank with a rotating 50 cal machine gun on the top of the roof. I mean, why does police have something like that, right? To go get a guy in a house with some roommates. So, with that in mind, do you think a Batman could exist today? Forget the identity stuff.
Okay.
Just him prowling around, being the number one vigilante.
Got it. I have a clarifying question.
Yes.
Is it a Batman, just some random person, or is it Bruce Wayne from the comics, badass Bruce Wayne, same money, same everything?
Same everything.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think it wouldn't matter. No, I think they would just kill him.
Yeah.
They just kill him.
All right.
I mean, that's how our government is. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just thinking about that. I'm like, as militarized as the local police are today. That's the local police.
Correct.
You know, forget about an army.
Yeah.
Right. I just think he would just it couldn't happen.
No.
It would be sad.
It lasts about a week and a half.
Right.
And the next thing you know, you never hear from him again.
It'd be like, I'm pal.
Yeah.
you wouldn't even get to the Batman part.
Yep. Nope. Not at all.
I'm Batman. Nope. None of that.
Nope. But a Joker would last because they would never kill someone like that. You know,
no, because there's too many laws surrounding mental illness and drugs and blah blah blah, whatever.
Oh, you killed 800 people. Here, are the handcuffs too tight? Come on. So, anyways, well, there you have it. Best Batmobile. Adrian says the Tumbler. I say the Battinson mobile. But Tumbler is amazing.
It is.
Yeah, we got to figure out a way to drive one of those on the show. That'd be awesome. Do a show from the Tumbler.
Yep.
If you're watching, you got a Tumbler. Drive it up here, dude. Let us, shoot a little something in it. All right, we like to wrap up, Adrian, with agree to disagree.
Let's do it.
I was going to ask you this. Do you like doing agree to disagree at the end?
It works.
Yeah, I like it.
It's fitting.
Yeah, it's a good little send-off. So if you're watching, because, if you've been around long enough, we used to do this earlier in the show. I kind of like ending with it. Let us know how you feel. All right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
There's a Tumbler right there, dude. Look at that.
Yeah, we got it. We got it. That. Little scale down, but
you think that's the scale?
Dude, I don't know.
No, probably not.
But it looks badass even here,
as a Hot Wheels car, right? Shout out to Hot Wheels. We don't even get free cars. Right. Send us the Battinson Mattel. Mattel makes Hot Wheels, I think. I don't know. Send us some cars, dude. We get like a little, dude. Why aren't there more remote control Batmobiles? Dude, I'd buy every one of them.
Right.
It's like they come out for a little bit and you never see them again. Like a super powered remote. Badass, but hey, here's an idea, Mattel. Make one.
And make it out of metal, not plastic.
Absolutely. And give it a battery that, lasts longer than 14 minutes.
Do you remember, you ever saw those, the models of the Transformers, like the metal ones? Mm-hmm. But you could buy them in a grocery store? Yeah. That was crazy, dude. Right. I had one. It was like this big, dude. Yep. The Jet.
Yeah.
It was all metal. That thing was hot. Yeah. I don't know what happened to it, but.
Dude, I always thought it was cool with some of those Transformer toys where they actually transform. Like, that. I mean, because you see it on TV, like, oh, that's just, CGI and shit. Mm-hmm. But there was some you can actually.
Right.
Some were a pain in the ass. Like, snap
a lot of pieces.
Yeah. But anyway.
Anyway.
Agree to disagree. This is where I rapid fire a handful of my opinions at Adrian, and Adrian lets me know if he agrees or disagrees. We don't get offended or upset. So it's fun, and it's also a teaching moment for some of you all, because we know how you guys act on the internet sometimes. You guys get very offended, and if someone doesn't agree with you, you get upset, you start crying, you go home, you pout. But we're not going to do that. Adrian could disagree with all 8 of these, and we just keep it moving and come back next week.
That's it.
Right? So some of you will not react the same, I promise you. Anyways, are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Number 1, we have not had a proper Wolverine Sabertooth fight on screen yet.
Agree.
Liv Schreiber's Victor Creed doesn't count as Sabertooth.
Disagree.
The worst part of Logan is X-24, the Wolverine clone.
Agree.
Replace X-24 with Sabertooth, and Logan is a perfect movie.
Agree.
Wolverine can't beat Sabertooth without his adamantium.
Wolverine can't beat Sabertooth. But if you ask me, so Wolverine cannot beat Sabertooth without his adamantium. I disagree, but I also don't think he can beat Sabertooth.
At all.
Period. At all.
Okay, all right. No more Spider-Man movies without Spider-Man.
Agree.
Marvel should bring back the Russo brothers to direct the next Avengers movie.
Agree.
Battinson would beat Dom Toretto in a race.
I don't know, man. Toretto can come up with some stuff.
Family. He just says that.
just say family, and that's his superpower.
Yes,
like re-energize him. I agree.
I'm going with because of what you just said of the money. Dom doesn't have the money that Bruce has.
Well, I don't know.
Depending on how many banks.
If ex Wonder Woman can show up in a Typhoon submarine in the middle of the Antarctic, which nobody can go to.
Correct.
Hey, he's got some money.
Yeah, he definitely does. Battinson would beat Dom Toretto in a fight.
Agree.
I mean, Batman. He's Batman.
He's Batman.
Yeah,
Come on.
So, anyways, that's it for Agree to Disagree. You guys sound off. Let us know if you agree with us or not, and don't get too offended if we said something you didn't like. Or go ahead. We don't care either way. But all jokes aside, we appreciate all of the comments, all the interactions. You saw We Respond made a return this week. My man God Mode, shout out. If you missed last week, check out the Batman of Spring Hill. Amazing guy in Florida doing a lot for sick kids. So check out that, massmiracles.org. If you like this shirt, this hat, Adrian's nice red hat there, go to onlycomicsmerch.com, support the show. And dude, Duncan, still,
something.
You got coffee in there?
I do.
Did you have to buy it yourself?
I had to buy it and make it.
You had to buy and make it. Look at this, dude.
I don't know. How do you do that? So I bought one.
Yep.
Well, I bought the grinds. Then I made the coffee. So I did buy and make it.
Nothing.
It's
can't even
insane.
Not even a glass of water, dude. I'm parched over here, Poland Springs send us something. I don't know.
Dude, I saw some video about the water, how they rank. Dude, we drinking trash. We're drinking straight up
So I shouldn't be asking Poland Springs for water?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Better off.
Apparently, just go and get some water from the hose.
I say I'm better off going outside when it rains.
Exactly. Get the water infused by jet fuel or something.
There you go. There you go. I'll get one of those freaking potions that Kraven was drinking. I'll just switch to that, dude. Right. So, anyways, well, Adrian, thanks for coming out.
Always.
A lot of fun today. Fun with Mike and Adrian, as we call it here. And if you are confused, this is Only Comics, where we discuss comics and only comics.
Not only comics.
Sometimes
we segue into something for a couple seconds.
Yeah, a little bit, a little something. But either way, you're going to have fun, I promise.
Yeah,
Hit the subscribe button, share this with your friends, and you know where to find us. We'll see you next week right here on Only Comics.